G'day guys, and welcome to another O&O. As usual, subscribe, it's up the top, ring the bell, tell your friends, and comment. Last video was basically a little bit about the Ukraine and China, and before all you guys think that I'm picking on the US and their political system, which I'm not doing, I'm going to tell you a little bit about ours, the Australians. You know, here we've got a Prime Minister and an opposition leader, which are both, in my opinion, peanuts, would have difficulty getting a job and holding down a job in the most ridiculous areas, and here they are running the country. You know, professional politicians. Well, that unto itself, the word professional politician should rule them out of any form of office anyway. Anyone that lazy that they pick politics as a lifelong business, you know, it's just, you know, avoiding the obvious. But as an example of what our great and illustrious series of prime ministers have done, I'm not picking on one because we've had a series of absolute peanuts. We run a two-party system here in Australia. We do have independents as well, but like in the United States, where they have Democrats and Republicans, we have Labor and Liberal. As with the Democrats and Republicans, the one stage of the game they had distinct political stances, and you could tell them apart, but over time now it's all an amalgamation of one, and it's very difficult to find out which side they're on unless they dictate the party before their names, you know, either Republican or Democrat. Exactly the same in Australia. The Liberals and the Labor Party have become synonymous with being identical and the same, only interested in looking after themselves. As an example of that type of thing, around about just over 12 months ago, out of the blue, our Defence Minister and our Prime Minister at the time announced to the Australian public that they had secretly entered into negotiations with the UK and the United States and come up with the genius plan for Australia, a non-nuclear country, to participate in nuclear proliferation by purchasing X amount of nuclear submarines, with some spurious, watered down bloody suggestion that we wouldn't carry nukes. But get this, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar contract to whomever it actually went to in the end. We have a tendency to change horses midway through, so I can't even say it was France or God knows whoever it was or is, any US-based company, a British company or whatever. That, you know, we have a tendency to jump out of contracts at a political whim. So whomever ends up actually making them, we won't get possession of those submarines for 30 freaking years. Long after, well, you and I will not see them if you're an Aussie in the country. And yet, the first payment, I believe, was $600 million just to get the ball rolling. You know, and when was the last time that anything to do with the government, you know, was finished, one, on time, and two, on or under budget? To my knowledge, it's never happened. So whatever billion-dollar contracts they're about to sign will double, if not quadruple, by the time we actually get these lemons. You know, and what use do we really think we're going to have for, you know, 10, 15, or however many bloody submarines that they're going to get hold of in 30 years' time? The fact of the matter is, Australia is sitting at the bottom of Asia. We're right in the guts of Asia. There's 25 million of us, and we seem to be, you know, standing up there pointing our fingers at China and like some spoiled kid. You know, we've got as I said in another video, we've basically got to get along with our neighbours. You know, it's the same as spending untold amounts of money, you know, on our armed forces. How long? Even a country like Indonesia, the most populous Muslim country in the world, is a hop, skip and a fart away from the north of Australia. You know, they mightn't have the most modern, up-to-date weapons, but with sheer numbers they could overwhelm us. You know, I don't know what they're thinking. Again, it's another way of just spending our money on fruitless exercises. You know, and I didn't even bring up the fact that a number of years ago, the Navy ordered a replacement for helicopters were in our naval fleet. They ended up buying these pieces of shit that was in the desert somewhere outside Las Vegas in the graveyards. They bought the airframes with the intent and paid top dollar, multi-millions for this crap lying out in the desert with the intentions of upgrading the airframes. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then because we broke the contract, because someone eventually was either politically put into a corner where they had to make a decision, and the Australian public notice cancelled the contract, then we've got compensation to pay. These people are not held responsible for our money. As soon as they make a gigantic stuff up, the Premier of the day or the Prime Minister of the day just moves them to another portfolio until they finish their term and then drift off with their golden handshakes. These people would not get a middle management job at McDonald's, let alone being in charge of multi-billion-dollar contracts. And I thought the whole reason that the military ask for quotes and God knows what, for tenders to these contracts, the companies come in, tender, and they come in on budget or under. Otherwise, there's a penalty. Every time I turn around, it's either roads or it's buildings or it's hospitals or everything is under budgeted. But I can tell you from being within the government, it's not under budgeted because the government pays premium price for everything. They get the best they possibly can in the field and they usually pay overs for it. And then how, in God's name, if we're paying premium price and overs, because everyone in this country breaks their asses to get a government contract because they know it's guaranteed. And then delays come in. There's always, it bloody rains one day and they're delayed for 6 months. Whatever. And okay, let's go back to the submarines. If we've got 30 years, you mean to tell me there's not enough brain power in this country, and with a bit of assistance from the United States and the UK with both nuclear powers, we couldn't produce our own bloody submarine? Please. Give me a break. The helicopters in the desert. No one even knows about it. Well, can't remember it. Now they've bought it up. A lot of you Aussies will remember those bloody things that we bought and paid hundreds of millions of dollars for that the US had tossed. But here comes Australia, big dopey country yokels, the soft touches. I can only assume we can't be that dumb. We can't be that dumb, or that idiotic. There's more brain power in this country than we give it credit for. There's obviously something underhanded and sneaky going on. If the government of Australia think we don't know it, you're fools. But are they fools? Because they get away with it time and time and time again. Christ, you're an employee of a tuck shop and you knock off $2 out of the petty cash and you've got the coppers on the doors. These people are knocking off billions of dollars from the Australian taxpayer and not one of them faces the music. Why? Because it's an embarrassment? How come we've got, out of 25 million people, we've got such little choice? It's all money. It's all money because these peanuts are put in by big business who are the main contributors to the party. Exactly the same in the United States. And to make matters worse, they back both sides so they'll never lose. Both here, United States, Canada, big business. And of course, if they throw money at the political parties, they want their pound of flesh like any Fagin. But we, the poor schmucks that think we're voting in the right people, it's only because we've got no choice. There's no choice of candidate because it's already pre-stacked. We have preferential voting in my country, not one man, one vote like in the United States. I think it's a good thing for a population of our size. But on the same token too, if you've got no one to choose from and it's mandatory you vote, well, it's a lay down misere. Someone the business wants in is going to get in. We don't get a say. We don't get a say in it. I thought in our country that anything that was going to change the fabric of our society, under our constitution, well, we were supposed to have a referendum about it. When was the last time we had a referendum? I tell you, the last time that I can remember we had a referendum is whether or not we'd become a republic. God knows how many years ago. And really on a day-to-day basis for you and me, Joe Bloggs, it means sweet stuff all. We're basically a republic in everything bar name at the moment. But that was an insignificant thing, and we'll have a referendum there. I can't remember when any referendum was brought in relation to who we should bring into our country. When basically and fundamentally we were an Anglo-Saxon Christian country, and I'm not going to go into the White Australia policy or anything like that. That was horrendous. But the fabric of the country was basically Christian. Now all of a sudden we have thousands upon thousands of religiously opposed people coming into the country. And don't tell me we're not religiously opposed. Muslims and Christians have been at each other's throats for 1400 years. What do you think it's going to be? Because in the country we all go kumbaya. I'm not knocking Muslims. There's a lot of good ones. But on the same token too, we are importing a percentage of problems we don't really need. And it's all under the guise of refugees. They're floating in on boats, they're coming over on planes and whatever, and no documentation, spinning a story, and they get better treatment than the citizens of this country. Unbelievable. And our politicians are doing it because, their votes. That's why minority groups have so much power in my country, because their votes. And the silent majority, like people of our age, just fall into line because 9 times out of 10, they can be counted on. The majority of people our age have voted one way and one way only, all their lives, because their parents voted it. Whether it be Liberal or Labor, that's the norm. Very few change horses mid-course. So the politicians said, well, we know the percentages there, how much people of our age are going to vote through the census and whatever, and how they're going to vote. All we've really got to do is tickle up the minority, piss in their pockets, give them money, and eventually we'll sway them to our side. The thing about it is the majority of the minorities that come in aren't originally Australian and can be swayed. But anyway, that's my country. And it's the same, the same gripes, the same everything. The United States of America, 250 plus million people, and out of the last 6-8 presidents, what have you got? Father and son team, a third-grade actor, a failed businessman. Please tell me this is not the cream of your crop. And it's not. How did they get there? They were put there by big business because, and an idiot, I forgot the idiot that's in at the moment, that affects my life and my countrymen's lives, because you are the most powerful country on the planet. And we look up to you. There's no doubt about that at all. You've taken on, the United States has taken on the guidance role for the rest of humanity, and you do it on an everyday basis. Your influence is in global, through television, through movies, through CNN. It goes on and on and on. So we look to you, and you have a responsibility. And we have a responsibility in our own countries. Get off our asses and do something about it. Do it with the vote. Anyway, that's it. Subscribe, ring the bell, comments. You might hate what I'm talking about, but I'm enjoying it. We'll see you next video. Cheers for now.